Start.
Jai Hind, friends. In our last episode of Great Escape, in our discussion with Sri Abhijit Roy, we concluded when Subhash Chandra started from Gomo to Peshawar. On 26 January 1941, Subhash Chandra started from Peshawar to Kabul. Finally, after spending few days in Kabul, he could enter Europe with an Italian passport. The members of the Bosch family tried every means to hide all the information about the Great Escape, but few arrests could not be avoided by the Bose family. The family suffered a lot, both emotionally and financially. And all those unsung stories we will today hear from Sri Abhijit Roy. Jai Hind, uncle.
Jai Hind. Jai Hind.
And today we will listen from you about the unsung stories of Bose family.
Yes, Anushka, Advija, Jai Hind to both of you.
Jai Hind.
The sufferings of a family, the participation of a family in a historic great escape today, unfortunately, is challenged and denied by many. I don't know why. Not many, but very few. But what I'm telling you today, up till now, for the 6 episodes which I have told you, is that they are the incidences which I have taken from 3 books generally, as you know, books written by Dijendranath Bose, Dr. Ashoknath Bose, and Dr. Shishir Kumar Bose, and also the verbal things which I've heard from the elders of my family, from the Bose family. Now, we have seen that in the last moment, the journey from Asansol was postponed, was diverted to the journey from Gomo, as per the advice of Dr. Ashoknath Bose. And accordingly, 3 of them, Ashoknath Bose, his wife Srimati Meera Bose, and Shishir Kumar Bose, they took Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose alias Muhammad Ziauddin up to the Gomo station and Netaji boarded the Delhi Kalka mail and proceeded towards Delhi with an intention to get down somewhere before Delhi and catch the frontier mail and proceed towards Peshawar. This was the original plan, and from Peshawar they would proceed to Kabul, and from Kabul they will see. From Kabul means they had to walk a lot of roads. I recall my auntie Chitra Ghosh when she went in a women's conference in Pakistan. She was having her meeting at Islamabad or Karachi somewhere. So the hosts there, they asked my auntie that would you like to visit some of the places? So my auntie said, yes, I would like to visit the frontier. So they were surprised. What are you going to do there? Well, no, I want to just see. So when they took her up to that, that Peshawar, up from Peshawar, they took it up to the Kabul border. My auntie was surprised when I was standing, but like I was standing in a shore of sea. That was a sea of sand, and big boulders were there. So if you had to cross that, you had to cross those boulders. My auntie said that I was just standing there. I was thinking, how did Rangakamu cross those boulders and cross that desert to go up to Kabul? I was wondering what fire was igniting inside him that that allowed him or that guided him to this tedious journey. So this was the courageous man, Subhash Chandra Bose. And he proceeded there, but that story I will try to recapitulate after I finish my total Vartalap over here about my version of Vartalap, because that I know very little. I can say a few words about that. Now,
Mr. Mashai,
Shishir Bose, yeah,
I will
yes,
just interrupt you and I will just like to share one story I read in আমি সুভাষ বলছি that
uh,
while going through this desert and in the winter of January, at
hmm,
that time, this area, I mean, it's supposed to be a desert of snow.
yeah. It was
Subhas Chandra,
difficult, the the wind used to pinch your skin like pins,
absolutely.
So
And at that
that
time,
was
uh, I mean, after walking along, Subhas Chandra asked Bhagat Ram Talwar and the guide that how far we are from the border. And then Bhagat Ram Talwar told him that I am very sorry that I didn't mention you. We have already crossed the border. And Subhash Chandra stood there, looked around, and he just said that it's beautiful. And Bhagat Ram Talwar was completely surprised that a person from Bengal, the green and soft land, what
yeah,
actually had, I mean, he found here to be beautiful. And then Subhash Chandra said that in a free land, everything is beautiful.
yeah, exactly, exactly. He said that I have come to a land. I've landed on a piece of land which is not under the British power, British Empire. It's a free land, so everything in the free land is beautiful, and I
True,
like it. And I take a pleasure to breathe the air of a free land, breathe in the
true.
air of the free land. That's what Subhash. So Shishir Bose came back around 4 o'clock. He reached One Woodman Park, and he narrated the story to his father, Sarat Chandra Bose. Sarat Chandra Bose asked him that you take some rest because you will have to go to a marriage party. It was the marriage of the granddaughter of Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das. Sarat Bose said, I know you are tired, but you'll have to go because I do not want any questions to rise that why are you absent? So he went, and in his memoir he has said that after 2 days coming back from the marriage party, I had a very nice sleep. Now next day, as usual in the evening, Shishir Kumar went to 38 by 2 Elgin Road and started discussing with Dijendranath, Aurobindo and Ila about their role play for the next few days. As his Raga Kaka Babu had once again told him to remind them. Now, this role play was to consume the meals prepared for Subhash Chandra, which the domestic help used to push it from below the curtain, and he would take back the empty thali when pushed, when after finishing the food, Subhash Chandra used to push it from behind the curtain outside. So this was now serially done by either Dijendranath, Aurobindo, or Ila. And also, they started uh, to use his toilets also, so that the sweeper would not have any such idea while cleaning up cleaning up the commodes and everything. So by doing such acts, they kept the Great Escape uh, secret, firstly from the rest of the family members. There were quite a number of family members at that time living in the at 38 by 2 Elgin Road. Actually, Satish Chandra's family used to live there. Suresh Chandra's family used to live there. Sunil Chandra's family used to live there. And Shailesh Chandra Bose he was at that time in Bombay. And Sudhir Chandra Bose was in uh, Jamshedpur or Jamadoma in Bihar. And Sarath Chandra Bose, of course, he has had his own house at Van Woodburn Park. So out of the three brothers, four brothers with their families used to stay there. So it was a large family. Plus, quite a number of domestic helps were there. Prabhavati Bose used to live there, Netaji's mother. So quite a number. So by doing this, these four persons, they fooled the rest of the members of the family, number one. And number two, they fooled the guards outside and the visitors who once used to come and meet him, the well-wishers. So this was going on. Now, one problem, a slight problem was there that on 20th January 1941, a case against Subhash Chandra Bose was supposed to come up for hearing. Subhash Chandra had uh, two cases running, one at Alipur Court and one other one at Bankshal Court. Bankshal Court, like that. So I think this was the Bankshal Court which was running around. So although there was a old medical certificate which was already given to the magistrate, asking him to be excused for being present physically. Medical certificate was given there, but that was an old one. So they started thinking that whether it will be sufficient if the magistrate does not entertain the old certificate. It's going to be a really so that I mean the council, the defense council on behalf of Subhash Chandra Bose, he gave this news to Dijendranath Bose. So Dijendranath Bose and Shishit Kumar, accordingly, they went to medical college to procure a new medical certificate from Dr. Panchanan Chatterjee, who was a renowned doctor at that time. But Dr. Chatterjee had been absent from medical college on that particular day. So, and he could not be found at his residence too. After that, they went to his residence. But unfortunately, he could not be found in his residence too. What to do? What to do? So, seeing no other options, both went to the chamber of the defense lawyer and told him that Subhash Chandra was very much indisposed and unable to walk even. Okay, they also told the defense lawyer that the arrangement for a recent medical certificate may not be possible, so he has to take the permission from the magistrate based on that old medical certificate to postpone Subhash Chandra's presence in that court on that particular day, that is 20th of January. So, okay, the magistrate, after listening, I don't know, he was a bit kind enough, so allowed a different date for the physical presence of Subhash Chandra Bose. In the meantime, in one of the courts, the other magistrate had already said that on 27th January, I do not want to hear any excuses. I want Subhash Chandra Bose to be physically present there, even if he is brought in the court by ambulances, through an ambulance. So that was fixed up. But 20th January was somehow okay. Then this thing could be avoided. This strict order was avoided. So Um, the role play, that is why they decided the role play should go on till the 26th, because that was 18th. From 17th onwards, he had gone. 18th to up to 26th or 25th, 7 days about, the role play will have to go on, because they had thought that by this time Subhash will be crossing the frontier, the border. Well, it was actually, in fact, it was a bit about 1 or 2 days late, because he was stuck up in Kabul for quite some times, as the Russian embassy was not paying any heed, as Bhagat Ram Talwar had promised earlier. So ultimately, uh, after much efforts, a solution could be found out from the Italian embassy. So he was a bit late in Kabul because he had to stay in Kabul for a certain period of time. Anyway, now uh, it was decided that up till 26th of January, the role play will go on. So that is why it was decided that the above role play should be continued by Dijendranath, Aurobindo, and Ilar till 26th January. Now, on 25th January, which was a Saturday, in the afternoon, Sarat Chandra Bose called Dijendranath and Aurobindo to one Woodburn Park. In the afternoon, in a closed door meeting in the bedroom of Sarat Chandra Bose, it was decided that Sarat Chandra with his family will go to Rishra, where Sarat Chandra Bose had a house at the banks of the river Hooghly. And they would just go in order to spend the weekend, 26 January being a Sunday. Someone will go to Rishra from Calcutta and inform Sarat Bose about the mysterious disappearance of Subhash Chandra. And accordingly, the next arrangements will be taken. Okay. So came that D-Day, the morning of 26 January 1941 arrived. As per the previous planning, Ila Bose entered the room of Subhash Chandra and discovered that her uncle Subhash was not present in the room, and the night meal which was served has not been consumed by Subhash Chandra, his uncle, her uncle. She came out of the house, called upon the rest of the family members with great anxiety. When many members, now this particularly I will tell you a flaw. I'll tell you a flaw which was there in the film directed by Shyam Benegal. Many of you have seen the film. There, when Ila Bose comes out of the room, he runs through that corridor and shouts, Shishida. Now, this is total false, because Shishid Bose was not, Shishida was called, Ila Bose never used to call Shishid Bose as Shishida. She used to call as Lalda. This is one point. And that time there was no chance of Shishir Bose to be present at Elgin Road, because Shishir Bose used to stay at one Woodburn Park, and that particular day he had been to Rishra along with his father. So you see, the one-sided story here should be omitted, which Shyam Benegal did. Unfortunately, I don't know why. So I told many people after seeing this movie that there are many mistakes in the film, and I pointed out those mistakes also. Now, as per that plan, Ila, told everybody, she made a hue and cry. Where is Ramakaku? Raghav Kutaigal and Pavachana, Khavar Khanni Uni, this, that. So after that, everybody started searching. The room adjacent to that small room, the, I mean, they started, everybody searched the house, including the terrace. And there was a room in the terrace also. Everything was searched. They went downstairs, searched the entire, area, the ground behind the house, everywhere they heard. So there was no Subhash. Subhash was not to be seen. He has simply disappeared. Why? How could it happen? It seemed that he has simply vanished into the thin air. Therefore, the elders of the family first gave the responsibility to Dhirendranath Bose, the elder brother of Dhirendranath, that you go to Rishra and tell the news to Sarath Chandra Bose. Okay? And tell him to come immediately. So someone was sent, some people were sent to Belur Math, some to Dakshineshwar temple and Kalighat temple to inquire and look for Subhash Chandra there. So, these things, they started happening. Okay. Now, the next scenario we see is in Rishra, Sarath Bose's house. At around afternoon, everybody had their lunch and they were resting. Shishir was having a good nap in his room. A car entered the Rishra house of Sarath Chandra Bose with Dhirendranath inside it. Obviously, Dhirendranath was very excited. And he went inside the house shouting that they could not find their uncle anywhere in the house. So Sarath Chandra said that, calm down, just tell me what has happened. So Dhirendranath, he started narrating that, sorry, sorry. So Dhirendranath told everything. Sarath Chandra listened to Dhirendranath very patiently and called his daughter Geeta to tell everybody to get ready within the shortest possible time, as they have to proceed to Calcutta immediately. And he said to Geeta, সবাইকে বলো তৈরি হতে আর বলো রাঙা কাকুকে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে না. So Geeta was very excited. She went and told Shishir Kumar, who was sleeping, লাল্লা লাল্লা এরম ব্যাপার রাঙা কাকুকে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে না. Okay. তখন বলছে কি পাগলের মতন করা হবে, রাঙা কাকুকে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে না. চতুর্দিকে পাহারা আছে, কোথায় যাবে? জানি না মেজদা এসছে, মেজদা বলছে. মেজদা was Dhirendranath. Okay. After some time, everybody got ready, and both the cars started their return journey to Calcutta. And both the cars, they straight came down to 38/2 Elgin Road. Sarath Chandra Bose went upstairs to the room which was used as Subhash Chandra's office room in 38/2 Elgin Road. And he started discussing with other members of the family what should be their next step. Sarath Chandra, during these discussions, also went to his mother, Prabhavati Devi's room, to talk to her and to console her. And then he advised some of the younger members of the family to inform some family friends and well-wishers. Accordingly, they were soon relayed the message. And after getting the news, persons like Shottoranjan Bokshi, Ramesh Chandra Majumdar, Nipendra Chandra Majumdar, he was a solicitor. Pandit Ashoknath Shastri, the Kul Guru of Bose family, Ashoknath Shastri, and some more people, they started arriving. The discussions continued with them, what to do, what not to do. Ashoknath Shastri was told, as usual, by uh, probably by Prabhavati Devi, that you make a calculation, where can he go, the astrological calculation and all that, along with the other friends. Uh, and after some times, Sarath Chandra Bose, along with his other friends and well-wishers, he just said that, well, I'll be taking him. Mother needs a little bit rest, so I'll take all these people to my house. So he took everybody over there at One Woodman Park, and the meeting and discussions continued at the ground floor, where there was a office of Sarath Chandra Bose. Now, after carefully listening to the suggestions given by everybody present there, it was decided to send some telegrams to certain places to have the knowledge or to guess whether Subhash had gone there. So, accordingly, the texts of the telegrams were written and sent to the post office. The young people were running around doing all these things. Many people now started taking leave from Sarachandra. But Sarachandra told another guest who had come, friend, Suresh Chandra Mujumdar of Ananda Bajar Putrika, that we shall have to discuss certain more things. As the evening had settled long before, and the day of the light was fading out, it was dark, people started leaving. Ramesh Chandra Mujumdar, Satyaranjan Bokshi, and Dipendra Chandra Mujumdar, they started leaving. Sharat Chandra told Suresh Chandra Mujumdar to stay back and discuss with him whether the news will be coming out in print media the next day, that is on the 27th. So Suresh Chandra said, okay, I will do it. So a draft was made. A draft was made then and there, the intention of printing the news of Subhash's mysterious difference of the next morning paper. And with that draft, Suresh Chandra Majumdar, he left. He straight away left for the Anandabhajar Putrika office. And other journalists were there also. So he took the responsibility, okay, I will let this news be known to my other journalist friends of other publications, both English and Bengali. So by saying this, Suresh Chandra Majumdar left. The next morning, news of Subhash Chandra's mysterious disappearance, it came out in the local newspaper. The people of India, particularly the police and the intelligence agency of Bengal government, absolutely they were dumbstruck. What is this they are hearing? Okay, it's a great failure on part of the intelligence and the police, and a great shame on the part of the British Empire, the entire British government. So they were dumbstruck in surprise, and it took a little bit time to recover from that shock. Okay, and they reached the house of 38 by 2 Elgin Road a bit late and started cross-examining every resident and people present there, including the domestic. Everybody repeated the same story, that he had preferred to live in isolation for the next 10 days. We do not know what was happening behind the curtain. Only a few members who were allowed. And after discovering that he had not eaten his food given to him on the previous day, there was a frantic search for him. But unfortunately, he could not be found anywhere. So on 27 January 1941, also on that particular day, the Defense Counsel of Subhash Chandra Bose told the Honorable Magistrate of the court that he could gather the news from that day's newspaper about the mysterious disappearance of Subhash Chandra Bose. And therefore, my lord, I am unable to present my defense counsel or my client to you in a physical state. The magistrate had nothing to do also, but the police was furious. There were series of meetings, I believe, which went on at Lal Bazar. The defense counsel, right inside the court, he expressed his personal opinion that probably Subhash has left the worldly comforts and chosen the path of a recluse. He has chosen the path of a recluse. This personal opinion of Subhash Chandra's defense counsel was even printed in the evening special news of many newspapers. This was the idea expressed by the defense counsel of Subhash in the court, and that came out as a news on the evening special news of many newspapers. Because the main aim was to let the entire world know, or Bengal and India know, about this mysterious disappearance of Subhash Chandra Bose. So this was done, and this exciting news had an all India repercussion in a quick time. And as the news spread, Rabindranath Tagore, who had a great soft corner for Subhash Chandra Bose, who had given the title of Deshanayak to Subhash Chandra Bose, who with his ill health had come down to the foundation stone laying ceremony of Mahajati Shodhan, he sent a telegram to Sharat Chandra Bose. The telegram read like this: deeply concerned over Subhash's disappearance, convey to mother my sympathy. Kindly keep me informed news. Now, Sharat Chandra Bose replied to his telegram addressed to Rabindranath Tagore, hope he will have your blessings wherever he may be. This was the respect of the Bose brothers towards the great poet Rabindranath Tagore. Gandhiji also sent a telegram to Sarat Bose as under: startling news about Subhash. Please write truth. Anxious, hope all well. Gandhiji was inquiring from Sarat Chandra Bose that he was thinking that something has gone wrong somewhere. So he wanted the truth from Sarat Chandra. What was Sarat Chandra's reply? Sarat Chandra gave his reply as under: circumstances indicate renunciation. The two different types of replies Sarat Chandra gave, one to poet Rabindranath Tagore and other to Gandhiji. Now, a few days later, a news was broadcasted from All India Radio that Subhash Chandra Bose, who was missing from the house since 25th January, has been arrested near Jhoria. Now, Jhoria is a coal field very close to Dhanbad. It is a place in Bihar. Now, Sharat Chandra immediately called his eldest son, Dr. Ashoknath Bose, over telephone and asked him to proceed to Dhanbad and verify the authenticity of the news with the local administration. But both Ashoknath and Shishir Bose knew, and also Srimati Meera Bose, that on that particular night, 18th night, he had boarded the Delhi Kalka Mail in Gomo. So he had gone well beyond Jhuria. It couldn't be. But still, as Sharat Chandra was anxious, he sent accordingly. Ashoknath was preparing to go, but before he could go and get some news about it, a few hours later, Associated Press of India dismissed the news as baseless. So Sharat Chandra, a bit relieved, he went to 38/2 Elgin Road to convey the message to his mother, Srimati Prabhavati Bose. Now started the police vigilance. It's a very interesting thing I'm going to tell you. Police started visiting 38/2 Elgin Road for a constant search of the house and to cross-examine each and every member. They came every day and started searching each and every corner of the house in order to find out the path of escape from the house. At the same time, continuous cross-examination was carried out with each and every member of the family, including the domestic helps. And even Subhash Chandra's mother, Prabhavati Devi, was not spared of this cross-examination. Now, the police personnel who visited this 38/2 Elgin Road were expert in cross-examination. A deputy commissioner named Mr. Janvarin was well versed in Bengali, English language as well as Bengali language. And he could speak Bengali well too. He took the responsibility to question Srimati Prabhavati Devi. But this deputy commissioner, he had a little knowledge of the fact that Srimati Vibhavati Bose was made up of some other materials. It is not easy to frighten this particular lady. After listening patiently to Mr. Janvaring for some time, Prabhavati Bose shot back at the shrewd deputy commissioner, asking that the subordinates of Mr. Janvarin had kept his son in constant vigilance. And therefore, how is it possible that Subhash Chandra Bose, his son, had vanished into the thin air without the knowledge of the police and intelligence officers? He told Mr. Janvarin that as per her idea, she thought, Amar to etai mone hocche, that the British had either kept Subhash Chandra captive in a secret hideout or have killed him. Now, in order to cover up their own mischiefs and faults from the people of the country, they had staged the show off of cross-examination and trying to propagate this false mysterious disappearance. Now, Mr. Janvarin and and his entire team were taken aback by this sort of allegations made by none other than Srimati Prabhavati Bose, and quickly retreated in defense. You know, so they could know that to cross-examine Prabhavati and to make her nervous or frightened by the sight of the police was not possible. She has been made of some other materials. Undoubtedly, she was the mother of Subhash Chandra Bose. She was the mother of the Bose brothers who always stood against anything which is not, you know, which is not any stood against anything which is falsely being said. They were always upright in favor of the truth and always stood against lies. So the police had no clue, and everybody in the house told this, that see, Subhash has not taken anything from his daily use materials, including his clothes, the toiletries, sandals, etc. They were all kept intact and untouched in the house in an orderly manner, which only indicates that he had left home to become a recluse. And that day, everybody said like that in unison, and the police were perplexed. They just could not, I mean, what do you call, they just could not digest this particular thing or agree upon to this thing, that a man like Subhash Chandra, a revolutionary leader like Subhash Chandra, would leave everything and lead a life of recluse. But they could not find any clue. Now, a few members, particularly few members, like Sarat Chandra Bose and his wife Bibhavati Bose, Ashoknath Bose sitting in Barari, Srimati Meera Bose, and in Calcutta people like Dijendranath, Aurobindo, Ila and Shishir. They were developing within themselves a silent anxiety, but could not express it to anyone until and unless they get some news from Subhash Chandra about his trip or what had happened from the onward journey from Northwest Frontier Province. Now at last, on 31st March 1941, came the long-awaited news. Sarat Chandra was not in the house. Two visitors came to One Woodman Park. Shishir Bose was on the first floor, sitting with his mother and her sister Gita, sipping a cup of tea. The domestic help brought her slip upstairs. Sarat Chandra, as usual, as I said, he was not present in the house. And the slip was handed over to Shishir, the only other elder member, male member of the house. Because at that time, Ashoknath was not there, and Omiyanath Bose was in England studying. Shishir Kumar saw the slip in which it was written Bhagat Ram, I come from the frontier. Shishir Kumar came downstairs and saw two gentlemen waiting at the covered portico at the ground floor. One was handsome, fair complexioned young man, and another was a bit aged, bulky, and wearing an European suit. The young gentleman introduced himself as Bhagat Ram Talwar and said that he has brought some news about his uncle, Subhash Chandra. Shishir Kumar, as was instructed by Subhash Chandra himself before he boarded the train of Delhi Kalka Mail, Shishir Kumar asked Bhagat Ram about his, that is Shishir Kumar's nickname. Nobody outside the house knew the nickname of Shishir Kumar. And further asked him another question, that what do I do? Or simply, what does Shishir Kumar do? When the two answers were satisfactory, Shishir Kumar took the two visitors to the room on the western side of the ground floor, which was actually once the office room of Subhash Chandra Bose, when he used to stay at One Woodman Park with Sarat Chandra Bose and his family. Bhagat Ram said that he was the companion of Subhash Chandra from Peshawar to Kabul and had come back after seeing off Subhash Chandra from Kabul en route to Moscow. That Bhagat Ram Talwar was telling the truth was proved sometimes later, much later after the war, when some of the secret notes of German foreign ministry were released and sent to the German archives. Now, one of these secret notes was a telegram sent to the German foreign ministry by the German ambassador of Moscow, Mr. Schulenberg. The telegram stated that Subhash Chandra Bose, in the disguise of Orlando Mazzotta, has arrived in Moscow and shall be arriving at Berlin on the 1st of April before dawn. So whatever Bhagat Ram Talwar has said is the same thing has been said in these secret notes, which was given by none other than the German ambassador to Russia to the Russian foreign ministry, German foreign ministry. Now, Dijendranath and Aurobindo, they were the members of the Youth League and were engaged in anti-British propaganda. Okay. In one of such meetings at Shraddhananda Park, Calcutta, the Youth League members assembled along with Dijendranath and Aurobindo. Now, all of them noticed that plainclothes policemen and informers of the British IB were trying to stick to them like glue in order to listen to what they discuss amongst each other and what they are up to. Any news that they can get of Subhash Chandra Bose. Now, noticing this, all of them started repenting about the fact that their revolutionary leader, Subhash Chandra, had left home to become a recluse. From whom will they get or take necessary instruction for their future task, etc., etc., etc. They were purposely discussing this so that the plainclothes informers, the people of British IB, would gather this particular news from the followers of Subhash Chandra. Now, British intelligence, it continued a strict vigilance on both the houses belonging to the Boses, one at 38 by 2 Elgin Road and another at number 1 Woodburn Park. As Dijendranath used to visit a number of places, being an active member of the All India Youth League, Dijendranath was also a member of the Forward Bloc. See, one Dr. Ashit Mukherjee was the editor of the weekly magazine Orient. Now, he contacted Dijendranath very secretly. Now, this Orient magazine was run with the help of a few Japanese and patronized by Japan. Dr. Ashit Mukherjee made an arrangement for a secret meeting of Dijendranath with the Japanese consul, General Okakazi, and consul, Mr. Kajiyama. The secret meeting was arranged by Dr. Ashit Mukherjee, avoiding the watchful eyes of the British intelligence. Henceforth, all the news from the Japanese consul used to reach Dijendranath through Dr. Ashit Mukherjee. Dijendranath received an important news via Dr. Ashit Mukherjee that a special radio station has been set up in Berlin called Azad Hind Radio. An agreement had been already been done and signed in between Japan and the Axis power, namely Italy and Germany. Now, another agreement was ready to be signed with the revolutionary leader, Subhash Chandra Bose. What was that? Who had formed the Free India Center in Germany. After knowing about that important news, All India Youth League decided that handbills and posters will be pasted secretly and announcing that important news. And during night, these handbills and posters will be pasted on the walls and lampposts at different places of Howrah and Kolkata and Calcutta. After consulting Sardar Niranjan Singh Talib, the text of the post was prepared as under. I'm reading out the poster. An important agreement will be soon signed between Rome, Berlin, and Tokyo and our revolutionary leader Subhash Chandra Bose. An army called the Indian Legion has been formed in Germany with the Indian prisoners of the British Indian Army by Subhash Chandra Bose in order to lead an armed struggle for liberation of India. Be prepared to strike hard at the British imperialists, tuned to Azad Hind Radio on shortwave 19.71 point. Our revolutionary leader, Subhash Chandra Bose, is in Berlin now. These posters were printed at a press called Tilak Printing Press, belonging to Sardavansh Singh at number 2 Maharshi Devendra Road. The posters and handbills were secretly sent to different centers of All India Youth League in Calcutta and Howrah with the instruction that all these posters had to be posted on the walls and lampposts on a specific date and time, preferably after 12 o'clock midnight. Accordingly, all the posters were posted and next morning the people of the locality curiously started reading these posters, and they were really surprised to know that Subhash Chandra Bose had reached Germany. When later in the news reached the police, they employed several men to tear down the posters. But by that time, already a lot of people had come to know about Azad Hind Radio Berlin, and also they came to know about the fact that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is now in Berlin. Well, it's 6 o'clock. Shall I stop, Anushwa? Hello.
Yes, yes, Mr. Moshe. Today we can conclude here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because these are the preparatory things. Now, as you said last time, one by one arrests in the Bose family will start. Okay,
absolutely.
I think by next or today is the 7th, by the 8th or the 9th episode, I can finish it up.
It's
I won't take
absolutely okay. This
okay.
detailed history should be known by us.
Yeah. Because what is most important is the after effect and what
Absolutely.
had happened after the escape was declared. That's the most important thing. And I would say one thing: people who knew it, either from the family or outside, their oath of secrecy had been so good,
Absolutely.
particularly in India, that none of these people, including the brother of Shotranjan Bokshi, Sri Sudhir Ranjan Bokshi, when he was later on arrested, they could give even a single idea to the British Empire that what actually had happened and how did he go out of Calcutta. The thing was, what I think, the first news was leaked out from Kabul. And from there, they back calculated. And probably when that came out, what I have heard from my uncle Subrata Bose later on, that they started from Delhi onwards, asking each and every railway personnel with a photograph of Subhash Chandra Bose.
Oh,
Have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? One ticket collector had said that, yes, I recall a gentleman similar to him, but with beard and all that, but he was a Pathan, he was not a Bengali. So that was the, tidbits the intelligence started, because one thing we should not forget, that the Scotland Yard and the British intelligence was at that time one of the best intelligence of the world.
of the world. Absolutely.
That is that. So what they have said was very likely. So thank you very much. We had a very interesting episode, I believe.
Yes.
And from next onwards, I will just go on to some very sad affairs which had happened to the Bose family
Bose family. Absolutely.
regarding this particular, and how these youngsters had to uh,
Suffer.
face, suffer, and the family members suffered.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much, and wish you all the best. Uh, and
Thank you, Mr. Moshe.
I
Because
think next
we
next
have
week,
already,
next
we
week
have,
we can start the
yes,
another.
yes. We have already started the Netaji Memorial series on 24th of January.
Yeah,
And the second episode will be probably on 6th of February, the death anniversary of Colonel G.S. Dhillon.
acha.
So that series is also progressing, and
Okay, okay.
I think
So I think
I think Netaji will bless us in this
yeah,
mission also.
definitely. And Adil Saab's, yeah, I heard it was very good. Really,
So we are,
he was so straightforward in telling his, yeah, and he was absolutely not fumbling anywhere. I was just whatever he was saying, it was absolutely straightforward.
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that. Such people with the background, revolutionary background, should have, because we hear a lot of things regarding Shahnawaz Khan later on. But
Yes,
one thing for sure, he stood like a rock during the Red Fort trial. Nobody can
absolutely.
deny that. Nobody can deny that. Okay, later on, what happened, how Nehru molded him and all that, that's a different story. But during the Red Fort trial, he stood like a rock.
And he fought very bravely in the Northeast.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. That's the
Those
thing.
who fought the Battle of Imphal, Kohima, Iravati, it is not an easy task to stand there even
No,
for a day.
26,000 soldiers martyred of
Absolutely.
INA. Can you beat it? Total 70,000. Of it, 26,000 have been martyred, have been dead.
Absolutely.
45% of any army being martyred in one single battle. This is a record of its own in any army of the world.
Absolutely.
And the hardships they had later on, when there was no ammunition, no food.
No food.
They ate grass and the leaves from the tree and fought with bayonets.
Yes.
That was the last few days or few weeks of this total 3.5 months of battle.
Battle.
No doubt that the organization of the British army officers in England, when they met later on after the war, they they had a vote, secret
Yes.
ballot vote, and in that vote, majority of them, I mean, the voting was about the toughest war they had, and the majority of them voted in favor of this Northeast
Northeast.
war,
Battle of Imphal and Kohima.
Battle of Imphal and Kohima, and they it was more, the votes were more than the Battle of Normandy, Battle of Waterloo.
Absolutely.
So can you imagine the British people giving us so much of respect? But today, unfortunately, these things are not documented in the pages of history. That is the unfortunate part. That's why I say this is our national shame. It should be considered as a national shame to us.
Absolutely.
The true history of Indian independence movement has not been documented as yet, after so many years of independence. And we should be absolutely focused and move towards that goal.
Yes.
We should go on
Definitely.
creating the awareness amongst the common people until and unless there is a mass movement demanding
Definitely.
that the true history of Indian independence movement has to be written and documented in the textbooks. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let us
And wish you
conclude
all the
here.
best. All of you, wish
Thank
you all
you.
the best.
Thank you.
Wish you, both of you, a very good health in the coming
Thank you.
days so that we can do our episodes, our Vartalaps in a much better way.
Much better
Thank
way.
you. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
Thank
And
you.
Jai Hind.
Jai
Jai Hind,
Hind.
Aditya. Jai Hind, Anushka.
Jai Hind.